All right, y'all. It is that time, guys, for the Geekly Goods Roundup, y'all. Yo, we got a roundup for y'all this week because, woo, MCU's some major drops this week, guys. We got an Avatar rumor going around about a new movie. We've got a delay in Marvel content and maybe a little bit of a shift, maybe some more space, guys. Y'all, Loretto is not here this week, but he will definitely be back next week. I got my boy Novice Cinephile filling in for him this week, guys. We are going to talk all things geek. We also got a couple movies to talk about, but mainly Quantumania, y'all. And I see my man G. Kobe P already making the jokes in the comments. You already know, man, the holes. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And yes, they were talking about that. But guys, let's not wait too much longer. I want to introduce my guest tonight. I've got Novice Cinephile, my boy Mike. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here. You know, it's big shoes to fill with Lo not being here, but I'm gonna do my best. Dang it. You know, the replacement jutsu got the red Uchiha lights in the background.
Dude, you're ready to go, dude. You got your Sharingan on.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We got Schofield Studios coming out with the comment here. Hope these delays mean they're going to step up the quality instead of the quantity. And yeah, it seems like that's the direction they want to go. Hopefully that's what we do end up seeing, because we had last year was a little divisive, I think, when it came to the content, especially when it came to things like Love and Thunder, She-Hulk. Those projects, I think, combined with Quantumania now, have got people feeling some fatigue. Completely understandable. Most of my set is Marvel, and I completely understand. But speaking of Marvel, let's go right into our first segment. 1 to 10, guys. Rate these movies 1 to 10 on your anticipation scale. 1 being not really that excited. 10 being you can't wait, you're shaking in your boots, y'all. But these are based on trailers from the week, and we are going to start with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yes.
Which, Mike, I gotta say, bro, it's the final countdown here. We are at the last Guardians movie. We've had 2 really fun, adventurous movies so far from James Gunn, and it seems like James Gunn is reviving Marvel and DC here with how Quantumania is gone. We're gonna have Guardians of the Galaxy 3 drop, and 9 times out of 10, probably gonna be a big crowd pleaser. And then, of course, he's heading up to DCU next. How you feel about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, 1 to 10? How you feel about it?
Scale of 1 to 10, probably an 11, honestly, because the Guardians trilogy, well, the duology right now, are 2 of the best films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's all strictly James Gunn. The level of humor, the level of heart that he's able to inject into those films are something that is unique, and it's specifically Guardians. Like, no other MCU film has that balance that he's able to bring to them. So that gets me really excited for this one, but also it's bittersweet, right? Because even if the Guardians live and they continue on in the MCU, they're never going to be James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy again, you know?
Yeah.
And so that makes me, again, hopeful for DC, because I love what he's done with the Guardians in his movies. So if he can bring that over to the Justice League or the Titans or whatever he does there, cool. But yeah, this iteration of the Guardians, this is it. This is the end. And it's very bittersweet. But that trailer was amazing. So I can't wait for it.
Wasn't it so good? I mean, this ragtag team of Rocket, Groot, Star-Lord, Nebula, Gamora coming back, which is great, Drax, Mantis. It's been like such a fun adventure with all these characters. Even the Guardians Christmas special I liked. Wasn't anything super special. Nah, but I mean, with these characters, they made it fun. They made it enjoyable. So I'm really looking forward to the last movie in the franchise. And like you, man, I really enjoyed those first 2. I like the Suicide Squad. I think James Gunn, give him any comic book property. Look, I love Peacemaker. I'm like, give him any comic book property. At this point, to me, he could do something really well with it. And sounds like he might be the Superman director too. So it's like, okay, I'm okay with that. How do you feel about him taking on a Superman?
So we're going to have to see. That's the thing, right? Superman is a character we haven't seen him do before. We haven't seen him tackle that type of story before.
True.
So him writing it, like everything he said so far, has me invested, because how he describes the character, his love for the character since he was a child, like those are the things that make me like, okay, I think he's got a handle on it, so I think he'll be okay. Again, even going back to the Scooby-Doo days, I think James Gunn has been making fun movies this entire time, right? So I'm confident that Superman Legacy will be good. Did you see his tweet earlier today, though? That's the thing that kind of stuck out to me. He's been writing this movie for 6 months. So before the Henry Cavill drama, he was already writing this script, which makes it even more confusing on how they let that news happen when they knew he was writing a younger Superman all that time.
Yeah, do you think part of that was like, do you think they were kind of stalling a little? I mean, it just feels like DC was just like, can we just come up with some kind of plan? Maybe they didn't have him signed on yet, and they were just like, hold on, let's hold Henry Cavill in for a bit.
Maybe they were like, they were probably just figuring, we'll let it'll blow by after a certain point. It's like, you know what, we're gonna just keep them excited, keep them happy, boost up Black Adam, and then as soon as James Gunn and Saffron got hired, it's like, okay, well, that movie's officially happening now. I think Superman will be good, but it's gonna take a while. We gotta just live in the moment, live with the Guardians. That trailer, that when we see like Baby Rocket, dude, like that hit me so hard, and like I don't understand why James Gunn is that good, where these characters are idiots. By all accounts, these movies should be just stupid popcorn flick, summer blockbusters. But there's still like you mentioned the holiday special. The amount of heart that was in that special, in that 45 minutes, just brought me so much joy. And if we get even a tenth of that in this movie, we're good. We're golden.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I definitely think we're going to get all the heart that we've gotten throughout the franchise so far. Eric Patterson, what's up, man? You had a 7. Oh, man. Okay. Hey, I understand. recently Marvel's had some not so great receptions in terms of the movies. So I get it.
Yeah.
Maybe a little cautious. G. Kobe P's at a 10. Most anticipated movie of the year. Holy smokes. I
That's
don't
high.
blame you, man. I don't blame you. That's a good one. I would say it's my most anticipated comic book movie of the year if Across the Spider-Verse wasn't coming out this year. I would
You
be
had me
right
in the
on that.
first half for a second. I'm like, wait, what?
Listen, I have to go Across the Spider-Verse every time, but
Yeah.
this is a close second. I'm really excited for Guardians. I honestly think, I was hyped for Quantumania and a little disappointed. But honestly, guys, I gotta admit, I think the Marvels and Guardians are gonna be two bangers to come out of Marvel. You heard it here first. Hopefully they're both bangers because you heard it here. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the Marvels.
Oh, me too, man. Like those posters. We got that in the show, y'all. Also, first two movies I would say are the only MCU films where you don't need to watch the other MCU films to enjoy them. Oh, the Guardians. Yeah, I agree. Guardians and Black Panther franchise do that very well, where you can just kind of come in and watch the series and not have to watch the Avengers and all that crap in order to be caught up with them. So they do a good job of staying self-contained.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit in the Marvel segment we've got later, but I think that's very important for the future of the MCU.
Yeah, we're going to need to, especially, I would say, in terms of like Moon Knight, that was one thing it did really well, was it kept to itself very well. So I'm like, I think that's kind of where we need to go in terms of the MCU, or at least split things up to where it's like, okay, Echo and Daredevil, and like, let's split some
street
things
level,
up.
cosmic, Avengers, at least have them tiered that way.
Yep, exactly. So then the Marvels have their own thing, and yeah, you're totally on the same wavelength.
Yep.
Hey there, Nighthawk. Let's move on to The Flash, which, oh my goodness, this one, it's so bittersweet here because of what's been going on outside of the movie with the main actor. But wow, what a trailer. I will say I was 100% not excited. I almost wanted to sit through the trailer reaction and not even react, but it was damn near impossible when you give me Michael Keaton's Batman actually doing some damn work and killing it with the new technology that has come out since then. And not only that, Sasha Calle's Supergirl looks amazing. Yes. I really hope that this is the Supergirl we're going to get in the next DCU wave. I mean, look, man, I love how those characters look. I will even admit, even Ezra's Flash has me excited just because that just feels like Flashpoint to me.
Yeah.
And I look at this and I'm like, whew, lots of issues with that main actor. However, really liked what I saw in terms of visuals. I think the two Flashes idea works. Oddly enough, in terms of it, just in that trailer, at least, it worked for me. Sasha Calle was great. And then just seeing that Michael Keaton in that Batcave and just how they kind of explain and describe their multiverse, it seems even easier to understand to me than Marvel's. Like just in that trailer alone, I'm like, okay, there goes the past, changes things up. That's how we have this mixed up universe. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I put myself in the shoes of a casual viewer who's never read a comic book. I'm like, that makes a little bit more sense than Marvel having to explain it in Multiverse of Madness, No Way Home, WandaVision. I mean,
Quantumania,
Loki, Quantumania. I'm like, that's 5 or 6 properties we've been talking about. Multiverse. I'm getting more confused there than I am the Flash. That's just like, oh, I changed one event and here's why it changed. Right. Flash, I'm sitting at a hard 9 out of 10 in terms of anticipation after that trailer. There's so much good. And even visually, I'm like, doesn't look like that mucky Black Adam orange overlay. It looks like it's got some good color to it. And that contrast of that high yellow and the blue between the two berries is like really, really cool.
So good.
How are you feeling, man? Because I mean, there's drama outside of this, but just the look of the movie it's looking upper tier DCEU to me.
It is, and that's why for me it is at a 6 out of 10. Because and again, this is everything. This is everything, like you said, outside of the movie. Like if all of that didn't happen, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. But it was at a 0 with all the Ezra Miller drama. So the fact that it worked its way up to a 6 is just a testament to how good this trailer was. And this is the hard part where the rubber meets the road, right? As you were talking about Ezra Miller even being a good part of this trailer. Ezra Miller is a good actor.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller is a fantastic actor. So I fully believe that they can give us a great version of the Flash. It's just, can they stay out of trouble? And was that apology sincere? And those are the things that I kind of struggle with. That apology felt like a PR thing, like it was Warner Brothers wrote that out, and Ezra never actually said it.
Right.
And so, putting that aside, the movie itself looks amazing. I love how you mentioned the contrast between the blue and the yellow, and that's the perfect marriage, right? They're keeping elements of the Snyderverse with the blue lightning and the blue and gray tones and the color scheme, but they're incorporating these other fantastical elements, and they're showing the multiverse is now a hodgepodge Earth. It's weird, it's crazy, and Barry broke it, and how is he going to fix it? And Sasha Calle as Supergirl is fantastic. My only gripe with her in this trailer is that she needs red boots. It's too much blue in the lower half. Just too much blue.
He's like, give
red
some
boots.
contrast.
I need This is why I don't care if Superman has the shorts or not, because I need contrast. It's too much blue without him. So either give him a belt or give him the shorts, whatever. But Michael Keaton, he was great. Ben Affleck even. That was great. Like the blue cowl that he had looked amazing. So cool. And he actually looked like he wanted to be there for the brief moment we had him. And that alone got me excited. And so now we get to the weird point of, Leah, I have a question for you. If this movie hits the way it looks like it's going to, what does James Gunn do? Because if Ben Affleck wants to do this, and this movie is great, and Ezra Miller is great, how do you not keep the Snyderverse? If just keep the actors and reset the universe,
Yeah, I guess you go about and you keep Kaye, you keep Ben or Keaton, I guess, for the new Batman movie he's gonna do.
Yeah.
And then I hate to say it, you keep Ezra. I mean, maybe. The thing is it really depends on I think a lot for the DCU hinders on this movie. So it's if this movie completely pans, they can just be like, get rid of everybody, go. We're done. We're getting a new Batman. We're getting a new Flash. We're getting a new Supergirl. Goodbye. Or they could see it take off and they could say, you know what? We're going to keep you guys and we're going to keep on moving. Just it's just like the same with the Wonder Woman situation. They haven't explicitly said Gal is out. James has already come out and been like, hold on. We didn't say that about Gal. Chill out. So we could very well keep some people. I know they're already keeping some players with Waller, and sounds like Peacemaker staying and all them people. So it's I guess they could easily just say, okay, we're going to keep these chess pieces and these ones are out. If this is successful, I think you got to at least keep Kaye. You got to keep one of these Batmen. It's okay, whether that's Keaton, I will say, I think either of them could fit into the Brave and the Bold. So maybe if you want to give Damian a little bit of time to grow, you keep Batfleck, because then he's not as old as Keaton. He can still kind of grow into that older Bruce Wayne role. I think you keep Ben if he wants to stay in that capacity. I know he wants to direct, so it's all right, give him some kind of street level hero to direct.
Give him Nightwing.
Dude, God, that'd be so good. Just give him a Bat Family movie. Just go for it with freaking Nightwing in the center. Do it. We got a 9 out of Eric Patterson. Okay, more than Guardians, huh?
That's
for Guardians, by the way, I was at a 10. So I'm a little bit more Guardians, but got a 7 from G. Colby. Very cautious. I get it with Ezra's situation. Yeah, it's just I think too they need to address that at some point. They need to come. They as an Ezra and Warner Brothers, I think some kind of conversation's got to happen there. Something's got to happen to where somebody comes out. Ezra, please apologize. Something. I definitely think something needs to happen with that. So I will say that's still very dicey waters there for DC. Batfleck doing the Dunkin' Donuts. We're
Only
already
if J-Lo
seeing
can cameo. So I have a theory with Sasha Kaye, right?
Yeah.
So we all know in DC Comics, there's Supergirl, who she's playing in this movie. If she's great in this film, like they really want to keep her, but she doesn't quite fit what James wants out of the role for Woman of Tomorrow, make her Power Girl. Just make her Power Girl.
Easy rebrand.
Yeah, and she can even be from this movie, like have the memories of this movie, and she exists in the new DCU as like the one holdover of like, yeah, I remember when my Earth was destroyed, and now I live here, and best of both worlds. She's the easiest port over from all of them.
You know what? That is a solve right there. That right there is solving the issue of the Sasha Kaye, because I want Sasha Kaye to continue in the way that Jason Momoa was Aquaman. I think you can really reshape the character in the movie universe this way. I love that what they did with Jason Momoa, because as we know with Aquaman, especially in like the early, just in the Super Friends and stuff, people made fun of Aquaman. People were like, oh, Aquaman, really? But like when Momoa stepped into those shoes, he just brings this whole different feel and meaning to the character, making him a person of color, giving him this kind of islander tribe-like origin. I really like those things. I think that this could really work with Sasha. I want to see more women of color and people of color in general as big heroes. So I think that this could be a great way to bring more people of color into major mainstream superhero movies. Rest in peace, Leslie Grace's Batgirl, because I thought that was another great opportunity. But I think that this is a perfect opportunity to reshape the character and really just make the character, mold the character to Kaye and really have her run with that role. The Flash promotional tour is about to go crazy.
Dude, it's going to be the craziest since Don't Worry, Darling. I'm telling you.
So, dude, that promotional tour was crazier than the movie. I was like, okay. Really? I watched the movie and I was like, you seen the movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, spoiler warning if anybody hasn't seen it. I'm watching the movie, I'm like, let me guess, Harry Styles made like a universe that is perfectly suited to men, right? I was like, okay, that was pretty easy to fucking figure out.
Too easy.
What's up, Lo from Vegas? What up?
Hey, Lo.
Good to see you, brother. Hope you're having a great time. All right, we are going to move on to our last 1 to 10, John Wick Chapter 4, baby. And we ain't calling it no Parabolum. We're not giving it a name this time. It's just Chapter 4. We got Donnie Yen in this time. We got Bill Skarsgård in this time. We got Hiroyuki Sanada in this time. Like, we've got some big players in this next John Wick movie. And let me tell you, Mike, they dropped that new trailer this week, and I'm just like, all these flashy, beautiful action scenes in this movie can carry me to 10 John Wick movies, and I'll be happy with every single one. Somebody tried to say it was like Fast and Furious. I'm like, hold on, we ain't got there yet. Not in the John Wick franchise. They ain't that bad now.
We'll see how the spinoff does. That might be our first clue on what this franchise looks like after that.
You know what? Great call, because the ballerina thing, I was like, do we really need that? But I'm enjoying the John Wick franchise so far. 4 looks great. If you would have told me 15 years ago that I was getting Donnie Yen versus Keanu Reeves, I would have been shouting to the heavens. I still am. So look, I'm an 11 out of 10 for the John Wick Chapter 4. And they can just keep pumping these out for me, man. How do you feel?
100% the same. 11 out of 10. That trailer was amazing, and the runtime of this movie, I don't know how I'm gonna survive John Wick Chapter 4. Like, my heart is beating out of my chest with each installment of this franchise, and you expect me to sit there for nearly 3 hours. 3 hours of nonstop Donnie Yen versus Keanu Reeves action. It's going to be great. Like Lo was saying in the chat, Baba Yaga about to learn about the phenom known as Donnie Yen. It's amazing. I can't wait for this movie. Like, I love John Wick. We talked about this before earlier in the year. Every trailer we've seen from this thing has been amazing. Every John Wick movie. Like, I was telling Ryan on the Chatter After Daily, we were talking about the trailer. It's like the first one is very simple. Revenge for the dog.
Yep.
And then it just like the universe just escalates more and more. So I get the Fast and Furious comparison, but like it's still extremely believable
Yeah.
and grounded. Like this is a world full of assassins, and John Wick just happens to be the best of them. And so that to me is enough to keep me invested because I love this franchise because it's so simple, but they make sure each one is as entertaining as it possibly can be. And it's always action focused, but it doesn't feel like, oh, this is just a stupid action movie. The story that we do get is still interesting, and I'm still invested in it. That's the best part about it.
Yeah, the lore about around the High Table and the League of Assassins in the movies is really cool. Like, I'm like, okay, this is like a cool story, and like the fact that it changes from just the dog revenge story to like, oh, we're all after Wick, like Baba Yaga, the big guy. I like that story, and you bring in Lawrence Fishburne. Like, I mean, come on, man, we bringing back Neo and Morbius. I'm with this, man.
What if the last movie's like, oh yeah, we're back in the Matrix? That's what happened the entire time.
Right? It's just like Hugo Weaving is back too. It's like, oh shit.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson, the whole time you thought you were named Baba Yaga, but
yes.
Man, people have been calling for him to be in it too. I wouldn't be mad. Like, go ahead, throw him in. Like,
I'm not gonna complain. I really wouldn't.
We're bringing everybody else in, so I'm down for it. G. Colby's also at a 9. Even as these movies go on, John Wick is pretty much a superhero now. Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's just a survivor, man. Like, Wick ain't gonna die. You know what I mean? Like, Wick is just the guy, the man. He's the Baba Yaga.
Yes.
The trailer looks good for John Wick. Surprised it's going to be 240 to 250. Wish they didn't out Scott Adkins. I'm in a fat suit. Yeah, I think he's just doing that Penguin thing, man. It's like big, chunky gangster stereotype deal he's got going on.
Yeah.
He's just
Is this going to be a running joke? Are we going to get like Ewan McGregor in a fat suit in like the next Superman movie or something? Like, he's chubby Lex Luthor or some nonsense.
We just keep it going. Like, you know what? Colin Farrell was great. I'm assuming that Scott Adkins is going to be good in this. Like, hey, keep it going. If it works, it works. Each installment slowly expanding on the mythology while consistently upping the action. Yep. 100%. It just keeps getting better and better. And like 3 is my favorite. So I can agree with that. I'm like, it just keeps going up and up. I'm assuming 4 is going to do the same thing. Now I wonder if they're going to bring Halle Berry back though. That's like my whole thing. I'm like, they're going to bring Halle back maybe? She was badass in that third one with them 2 dogs. That shit was tight.
Yeah, it was terrifying. Like it's weird. I have a dog, but I also have like an irrational fear of dogs. So it's like that was scary. That was terrifying. Halle Berry was great though. So if they find a way to bring her back in some capacity, thumbs up for me.
Thumbs up. Keanu Reeves may not be the best actor. Yeah, no, it doesn't. we don't need like jaw-dropping monologues out of a John Wick 4 movie. All we need is really great choreographed action, and they've got that part down. If you've seen the trailer, you already know that action is top tier.
The Keanu Renaissance has shown us that it's not necessarily he's a bad actor. I think he's just now better at picking roles suited for what Keanu Reeves can do. So
100%. John
Wick, is a stoic, badass character. And so that's all Keanu has to do, which is something he does very well. And so, if he just stays in his lane, he's good. That's all he's got to do.
And that's one thing about Keanu is I think he knows how to stay in that lane now. Yeah. I think it's like, okay, we had Matrix 3, or Matrix 4, excuse me. Which I didn't think was as bad as people thought it was, but we've got that. We've got this series continuing to go on, and then we've got a Constantine 2 in the works. I mean, the man just knows where to stay. He just knows. Yeah. This is my lane. I'm not going to try to be in a random rom-com. He was in that one on Netflix where he's like but he was being Keanu Reeves, so it works.
Yeah, he was just playing himself, so that was cool. But also, he still looked like John Wick in that movie, which is hilarious. It's like he's still in the black suit, black tie, long hair. It's like, okay, sure.
It's just kind of his staple look at this point. He's just like, I'm Keanu Reeves. I'm John Wick in real life, pretty much, but just super nice. All right, guys, we are going to move into the roundup here. Our major stories from the week. Let's get started, y'all. So we've got our first one here with M. Night Shyamalan. Signed a first look deal with Warner Brothers. Now he's got a deal with WB that details at least his next upcoming movie. And I believe it's several other movies as well. But online, there's been a lot of discourse. Why would they sign M. Night Shyamalan? Doesn't really matter. I mean, let's be 100% real. M. Night Shyamalan's movies cost anywhere from as low as $5 million to $20 million to make, and they bring in hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
If you're WB, you're pretty much like, take the pen and paper, man. But let me ask you, what do you think about Knock at the Cabin, Mike? And what do you think about this deal? Do you think if you're WB, are you going to be like, hey, man, here's the contract?
Well, you have to get into the mind. We've had David Zaslav in charge for a good while now, so we kind of understand what he thinks about when he's making these business decisions. And what you said at the top of this is exactly it. Movies are dirt cheap. The return is high. And so he's probably like, look, lock M. Night down. He can make 10 movies for us for as cheap as possible. And if we just make double, triple that, cool. And that keeps us out of the red. That's probably the mindset right now for Warner Brothers. Knock at the Cabin was actually really good. Like, I'm not a fan of M. Night Shyamalan's work. Like, none of his movies really stand out to me. Notably, he ruined my childhood, but that does not come into play when talking about the rest of his filmography. I can let that go.
Man.
But jokes aside, I think this is good for everyone. My biggest question is what happened with Universal that they let him walk. That to me is the more interesting question side of the equation of like, I get why Warner Brothers would sign him because the movies do make money, even though critically they're not the highest rated. But why would Universal say, no, we're not going to challenge that. We're not going to up that. We're just going to let him walk. That's my biggest takeaway from it.
Yeah, I wonder that too, because he's got the deal at least for the next movie, Trap. Yeah. And it doesn't say in this article exactly how many movies he's got, but he also has Servant, which is doing really well on Apple TV Plus right now. Yeah. Old brought in like 100-something million on like a $10 million budget-ish. So I'm like, okay, I wonder why Universal decided to let him. Maybe the critical ratings, I don't know, but I think it was actually Loretto who put this perfectly. It was either Loretto, you, or someone else I was talking to, but it was kind of that effect of you hate it so much that you're going to hate watch it. Like if you don't like M. Night's movies, you don't like him so much that you're going to be like, I'm going to go see this new terrible M. Night movie. I know it's going to be bad. There's kind of this love to hate on M. Night's work. So even if you don't like his movies, you're still going to be seated most of the time because you're like, well, let me just see him crash and burn again. Because Old was not great, but Knock at the Cabin, I think that was his best in years. So
agreed. I'm
kind of like, maybe give him some books to work on because 100%, like that was pretty good to me. I enjoyed it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, M. Night he's a talented writer and a talented storyteller. It's just some ideas like Old. The trailer for Old was great. Like, I think that's why it made the money that it did, because the premise in that trailer was beautifully done. It's just in the writing process, sometimes I don't know if he just needs another draft or what's going on. Like, the ideas are there. So I can totally understand why people would love his films. I can understand why the studio would continue working with them, because everybody likes to complain about how we get nothing but sequels and reboots and remakes, and M. Night's over here constantly making original stories. And even if they don't work for you, they still have an audience. Like, there's probably somebody who is a massive fan of M. Night Shyamalan. That's why all these movies keep making money. So yeah, it's really weird to me that Universal lets him walk. Or maybe the offer from Warner Brothers was just so big that they didn't feel like matching it. You know, it's how sports go.
Yeah, that's very true. So exactly like John Lee said, M. Night's Daughter's her debut was also part of this deal. So it's kind of sounds like WB's like offering a very good incentive for him to maybe even walk away from whatever Universal could potentially counter.
It's the honest package.
Yeah, it's like Universal might be like, well, we'll give you 2 more movies, and WB is like, well, we'll give you 5 and 1 for your daughter. So it's like, okay, like, where are you going to go?
Right.
As long as it's not over budget or his ego get the best of him, like the last film he made with WB, Lady in the Water, then we good. Shit, I think Lady in the Water made a good chunk of money, though. Like, the thing is, my thing about M. Night is like this. Whether you love or you hate the movies, they make money. Like,
Right.
the movies make money. Like, that's the thing is like, it's basically in today's terms, a shoestring budget. A $10 million, $5 million movie is like a today's shoestring. So it's like, okay, they toss him $5 million. He brings back 100. Okay, cut out 50 for marketing and all that, blah, blah, blah. Actors pay all that. And then the rest goes to freaking WB. They're not mad.
John Lee just left a great comment too about
Maybe
the
Universal
thing.
feels they got. Oh, yep. Okay.
I'm going to be real.
Jordan Peele.
With this context, yeah, I totally get it.
Universal's probably just like, you know what? We're good because those are some juggernauts, man.
I forgot Juan left Warner Brothers. So again, sports analogy. This is just a trade. This is really what happened.
They traded their wide receiver off to another team here because they've got enough. Yeah. So it's like, that's such a good point. I completely forgot this trilogy of horror directors here. I mean, come on, yeah. Blum just raked in a ton of money for them with Megan. And if people want to say, well, 200 mil is not that much on a $10 million budget, it's a ton.
In January against Avatar, come on.
Didn't dethrone it like M. Night did, which is a feat in itself.
Right.
But it at least made money. And yeah, that was Low that was talking about it. You either love him or love to see his movies get thrashed. Exactly. So you're going to be seated regardless.
It's how Velma got a season 2.
M. Night Shyamalan's Batman coming soon.
I mean, I would not be surprised if James Gunn calls him. Like, if he's talked to Zack Snyder already, like, why not? Just reach out.
Listen, I mean, he's got the deal with Universal, but it don't mean he can't step into, or well, now that he's with WB, step on over the next office, my man. You know? Oh, After Earth that bombed. Yeah, I just looked up After Earth. It was like 130 million. I think that might be one of his biggest budgets, and then brought in 243. So yeah, not great. But there's a lot wrong with After Earth.
So much.
So it's one of the biggest glaring holes being the acting. Sixth Sense and Unbreakable are his magnum opus, though The Visit, Split, and Knock at the Cabin were solid. I think I can agree with that. Sixth Sense was like peak M. Night, in my opinion. Unbreakable was very, very, very good. The Israel 77, I think that was a thing he did later. I think he was just like, let me make Glass, and it connects the two. Really don't think it was originally intended for those two to ever be connected.
No. he probably was like, this is my only shot to make a trilogy, because again, all his moves are standalone. And so he's like, yeah, we're gonna tie those together and see what works out. Again, great ideas, but they need an extra draft.
John Lee saying he's shocked M. Night hired 2 other writers, but the dialogue was still kind of mid. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, it's probably just out of everybody's control. Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next story here. We've got MCU Phase 5, guys. Kevin Feige has disclosed plans for Marvel Phase 5. Funnily enough, he could disclose these things after Quantumania was getting just beat down by the critics. Yeah. So a very funny timing here with this article, but I'm sure it was not on accident. But Kevin Feige just sat down with EW for an exclusive interview, and there were a lot of things that he disclosed, guys, including Spider-Man 4, the story being ready. It's not quite on paper. They're taking the pen to paper now, but they are ready with that story. And hot off the presses today, this is a rumor here, but heavily implied that Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 will be coming out before Kang Dynasty. I kind of saw that coming. I don't think that that's a huge surprise to me, but apparently they're lining that up to be before Kang Dynasty to give him a bigger role in that team.
Second rumor that followed that up, I don't know if you saw it, it's that Spider-Man is the main character.
Yeah.
Of Kang Dynasty 2.
Heard that he's the leader, and I'm like, Really? Our boy Spidey gonna be leading a team? So
They don't
super
even know
excited.
who he is. We'll see how that works. I said they don't even know who he is. So how's that gonna work?
I know we've got a lot of things to tie up before we get to King Dynasty, but
yeah,
I mean it is in phase 6, so we've got a little bit of ways to go. But a couple other pieces that dropped. Bucky is the de facto leader of the Thunderbolts, which I thought was a little odd considering Florence Pugh's character has been at the center of all the marketing. So I thought that was maybe a little bit weird, but don't hate it. I don't know if I'd necessarily see the MCU Bucky as a heavy leader, but we'll see. And then there's elements of the Kree Skrull War and the Marvels. Moon Knight has a future in this somewhere. They figured out what they want to do with X-Men, but they don't have anything to drop with in terms of X-Men right now. And Kevin is very tight-lipped on that one. And then Fantastic Four news is coming soon with a very recent article stating that they are actively looking, and Sue Storm could potentially be the first one cast, and they will form the cast around that character. So listen, this is a lot to drop right after Quantumania. Got a couple of questions for you, Mike. First and foremost, do you think this was on purpose? And then second, the MCU is dropping all these new facts, but at the same time, we're kind of slowing down here, spacing things out. How anticipated are you for Phase 5 after Quantumania? And do you think that these things coming to fruition will help boost some of the ratings slump that Marvel has been in lately?
That's a loaded question. One, I think slowing down is necessary. Just everything we heard last year, just about production, right? About how the visual effects teams have been struggling trying to keep up the pace. Just slowing down to make their burden a little easier, make these shows and movies look a little crisper. That by itself is a plus.
100%.
But yeah, this is definitely intentional by Kevin Feige, because what's been the biggest complaint so far? It's that there's no direction, there's no plan, it's all disjointed. So he probably just had to come out, because again, he usually talk at Comic-Con. He could have waited a couple months, to talk about this stuff, but he's like, okay, let me get out in front of this and just say Spider-Man is coming. That's the biggest thing to me, is that he had to come out. Sony didn't say this. Kevin Feige had to look us straight in the eye and say, you love Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man's still here. He's still coming. Don't worry. Just hold on a little bit longer. That's essentially what he did. And that to me is kind of scary, because this is the first time Marvel has felt a little desperate. This is something that DC would do, where DC would be like, hey, don't worry, Superman's in Black Adam, type of deal.
Oh, so, me.
Yeah. And so Marvel's never had to get, like, the notion that Kevin Feige has to get in front of anything is new for Marvel. They've never had to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That makes me a little concerned, but I feel like they're aware enough to slow down production, to delay these things. James Gunn, hate to keep bringing DC up in Marvel discussions, but one thing he said a couple weeks ago was, we're going to only do 2 movies, 2 shows maximum, and a year. And I think that's the Marvel model that they need to do, right? I think releasing 4 movies, 4 shows, 3 movies, 3 shows, like, that's just too much for the production team. That's too much for the audience to consume. And we end up getting a lot of products that feel underbaked.
Yeah. I think, especially before I share my thoughts, we got a couple comments here. Tom Holland must have gotten paid good with that new contract. Yeah, I think they typed him up something real good after No Way Home. Yes. Tommy Boy is swimming in that cash with Zendaya. I wonder if they're going to do Gwen Stacy next. What are we going to do with that storyline? I'm curious to see what's going on.
We're going to get MJ back right away. They got to, they need Zendaya. That's the thing. Marvel needs Tom Holland, and they need Zendaya.
You get somebody big, though, like Dove Cameron or something, to be, I don't know.
Bigger than Zendaya, though. That's the thing.
She's over in WB too with Dune. I mean, she's all over the place.
Yeah.
I think maybe Bucky is the leader because he has the most experience. Yeah, I could see that. He's like the most teamed. But I mean, I guess wouldn't that be Red Guardian too? I mean, he's got some.
Do you want Red Guardian to lead any team?
No.
That's the
no.
That's the thing about the Thunderbolts that's so weird is that, and this again, Christian's not here, so I can speak freely. That is a weird roster. That is just a weird collection of characters because honestly, it's boring, but honestly, none of them feel like they're fit to lead anything. Like Yelena doesn't feel like a leader. It feels like she'd be the one to go rogue and go off by herself half the time, let alone try and lead a team. You know, like that was Natasha. That's not Yelena. And they're distinctly different characters. And Bucky, watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, watching all this other stuff he's appeared in, he doesn't feel like a leader either. There's a reason Steve didn't give him the shield, you know?
100%.
So, I don't know. Like, this feels a little strange to me.
I think they should have had Zemo come in and be like the first and foremost. I think we didn't need Val, man. I think Zemo could have been the Val. I don't think we really needed a new Nick Fury type character. I think you change the role of Zemo a little bit, shift him up a little, bring Daniel Brühl back, have him be like this team's leader, really.
Yeah.
Because I feel the same as you. I'm like, Bucky, really, Ghost, Red Guardian, Yelena even. I think Yelena with a little experience, which is something that John had said, maybe Yelena eventually. I think that's how it could happen. But I'm like, none of these people, I'll be honest with you, I'm really not that excited for the Thunderbolts. I need Abomination. I need Songbird. I need like 3 or 4 more people that aren't super soldiers, man. Because we literally have super soldiers plus Ghost. And I'm like, okay, well, how are they gonna and then the villain is Sentry? I'm like, I can't really grip onto that. But I guess Red Hulk, since Ross is now being played by Harrison Ford, I guess they make him Red Hulk. But I'm like, I mean, we had Abomination on the table. Songbird could be a character introduced in this movie. Sadie Sink, there was that rumor. That would have been great, I thought. And then you could have had a couple other characters. Zemo, like, I'm just like, this super soldier, super team is not doing it for me, man. Not at all.
Controversial opinion, right quick. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still technically canon until proven otherwise. Just get Quake to lead this team. Like, she's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. She's got experience. Just throw her out. I'm just saying, you don't even have to explain Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being connected. Just say, this is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. She works for Nick Fury, the end. And you can just drop her into the team. She's new. If you want to recast the role, that's fine, whatever. But, like, nobody in this roster feels like they're fit to lead anything. And at least the Suicide Squad had Rick Flag, right? There's no Rick Flag like plant by Val in this team. And that's why it feels a little off to me.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a hodgepodge. Every super soldier from the movies, we're just going to put them all, throw them all in a team up. Yeah. And John Walker, I feel like a character that barely had any screen time belongs more than most of them. I just am like, how is it going to be for him to be working with Bucky though? Like I'm he was actively against Bucky in the show.
Well,
so
remember in the show, in that last episode, they lazily smoothed things over between all of them.
True,
they were like on decent terms. I think this is again though why Kevin Feige has to start talking a bit more, because these are the Thunderbolts is why the MCU to a lot of people feels disjointed, because everything you just said about we're just taking random C characters from different stories and throwing them together. It's like that's kind of what the entire phase has felt like, at least to a lot of the audience. It's like She-Hulk I enjoyed, but to a lot of people, they're like, why am I watching a weird comedy about Hulk's cousin? Like, just saying that out loud does sound like we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, even though I love She-Hulk. But it's like, yeah, here's a show about Bruce Banner's cousin. Who asked for that? Like,
man, I'm so with you, because I had a blast with She-Hulk. But I understand the criticisms, and you're completely right. It does kind of feel like we're on the edge here. But then we're doing this, but then we're making a TV show out of juggernauts like Nova. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of a big Marvel character there that we're just going to throw into the TV barrel. But whatever. I guess that's fine, right? And then it's the same with Riri Williams. Well, our little new Iron Man, we can just throw her into a show. I don't know. I don't know. Well, Armor Wars is a movie now again, ain't it?
Armor Wars is a movie.
That's
And I
right.
think you mentioning Iron Man, right, is the biggest issue of Phase. Like, everybody does the comparison of, well, Phase 4 is technically better than Phase 1, and you can have that debate if you want. The
It's
difference
true.
is but my point is, Phase 1 established these characters that people gravitated to and fell in love with. Phase 4 really struggled to replace them. And I think that's been the hardest part for Marvel, of nobody is Captain America or Iron Man like level outside of Spider-Man, which Marvel does not even own.
Which
like Doctor
Sony
Strange
is
wasn't that
struggling
guy.
Yeah, you're right. And Sony is struggling to exploit as much as they can out of that Spider-Man universe. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think what sucks too is you do have characters that were really cool in Phase 4, like Shang-Chi. I know Eternals was divisive, but you had Shang-Chi. You did have the Spider-Man movie, but then like it kind of started getting a little rough around Multiverse of Madness. I think we kind of seen a little bit of a divide there, and then Love and Thunder. We're kind of seeing some stuff divide a little, but a good comment here from G. Colby P. Good idea to slow down and space it out. Like you're saying with DC, Marvel really needs to slim down to 2 movies, 1 show, and 1 special presentation a year. Like if they can just whittle down to a few movies and just give these things some time to breathe. I agree. Let's stay in post-production a little bit longer, make things feel the quality of the movies at least. If we're going to be making these shows, I know a lot of us say, oh, I would love 10 episodes instead of 8. I would honestly take 6 great quality, crazy good production level episodes over 10 that just are like, oh shit, well, what are we doing in episode 8? Whatever. That was the unfortunate problem with Miss Marvel, is it was like there were 2 or 3 episodes in there. I was like, okay, I dig the lore, I like it, but it really has nothing to do with what's going on right now. So I think that slowing things down, ramping them down, and saying, you know what, we're not going to make Agatha 10 episodes, we're going to make it 5, we're going to shorten it down, make these nice 5 well-produced episodes. That could be the gateway of Marvel getting back into the good graces here. Because I do think that it is just a little too much, especially when in Phase 4, we got 9 projects, 5 shows and 4 movies in 2021, and 8 projects last year. Dang, hold on. Because last year we got She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, and Moon Knight for the shows, and then we got Love and Thunder, Multiverse of Madness, and Wakanda Forever. So I think we just got 6 last year, and then we got 8.
We also got
Guardians and
Guardians and Werewolf by Night. Yeah.
Yep. Guardians and Werewolf by Night.
This goes back to, again, the quantity of things. I want to just take everybody back pre-pandemic, the olden times, right?
Back in my day, baby.
Back in my day, remember Infinity War came out, right? And then we got Captain Marvel, and then we got Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then it was just silence and the hype and the build-up and the anticipation when Endgame finally came out. That's what Marvel's missing. Like, they don't feel like events anymore. They don't feel special anymore. So even if you love Phase 4 and you love everything we've gotten, that's great. But you also have to admit that when you get one every quarter, it's not as special. Whereas if it was 2 a year, it's like, okay, 6 months until the next one, baby. I can't wait. And that hype by itself makes you feel good going to the movie, right? Like Ant-Man and the Wasp, not a fantastic movie, but it was just nice that after Infinity War, we have a breather, we have a fun Ant-Man adventure, and that post-credit scene hits, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're gone. Thanos is still a threat. What are we going to do now? We don't really have that. 1, because they don't connect as much as they did back then, but 2, next, like, we have Quantumania, and then we're going to go into Guardians, we're going to have a bunch of shows. Luckily, some of the shows got delayed, Hopefully they'll be okay. Hopefully they're not delayed because they're bad. They're just properly spacing things out now.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I keep stressing that you don't want to overload the audience. Not because it's too much to keep up with, but just for the brand. Marvel movies used to be special, and now they're just one every 2 months. That kind of takes the wind out of the sails.
I remember I was regularly doing reviews on a radio show down in Florida, and my mom would listen to it, and she was like, is there a Marvel movie coming out every week? Because every week we would be like, all right, we got Hawkeye this week. All right, we got Black Widow. All right, we got Spider-Man No Way Home. You're right. It's
Yeah.
like every single month there's a new Marvel release. And listen, I love Marvel, but I'm going to be real, guys. Burn me at the stake, if you will. Listen, one's like Echo, Agatha. Those could be special presentations. I don't think they need to be 7-8 episodes.
No.
Put that 8 months after Guardians of the Galaxy, 9 months after Guardians. Like, I think spacing out the Marvels, which we'll get to a little bit later, was a good idea. Let's space this out a little bit and either cut them down or make them special presentations. Because do we really need 9 episodes of Echo?
Especially when your rivals are starting to ramp up, right? We've got 4 DC movies this year. And so you're hitting the same demographic. So that audience is going to be watching 8 superhero movies, essentially.
And
it's
let
just
me tell you, Shazam, I'm already just like over. Especially after that last trailer, I was like, look, man, what else are y'all going to tell me? The last trailer, it described everything. John Lane saying thinks Zemo will be in the movie, but maybe as an adversary, doesn't like the idea of super soldiers. That's true. Thunderbolts better win me over on Val and Taskmaster. I mean, that's the thing is a lot of us aren't feeling Val. She just doesn't have the same weight as Nick Fury. And I'm not even saying that because of the character. I'm saying that because of the writing. I'm like, look, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I love that actress, but geez, Val just shows up and is like, hey, I'm Val. There's not even like a, hey, I'm recruiting for the Thunderbolts initiative, or we need to make a team. There's no urgency. She's just like sticking Yelena over on Clint and causing trouble at this point. So I'm like, the only person she's recruited is John Walker.
Yeah, that's been a glaring hole with the last batch of Marvel properties. Like even Kang, it's like, we're introduced, not spoiling Quantumania, but like we're introduced to He Who Remains and we're introduced to the multiverse. And each project tells us something different about the multiverse and they kind of contradict each other. And it's like, I can't follow. I don't understand what the issue is. I don't know if it's different writers or what's going on, but it's like the multiverse as we know it from Spider-Man doesn't necessarily line up with what we learned in Multiverse of Madness, nor does it work with Loki.
Yeah, because like there's that whole, it's like, okay, so supposedly this is how I've connected it and other people have connected the dots. When Sylvie stabs He Who Remains, that event right there is what caused the different Peters to look different. But every other variant looks the same. So you're like, okay, well, this one guy's variants look completely different from him, but everybody else, it's very strange and awkward. So I think we're gonna get to a point where they kind of hit a soft spot. It's like, okay, we're back to hitting the ground running, but
yeah,
I think we just got to get there. Quality needs to
but
improve.
Surely.
Yeah. What was that?
No, I'm just saying slowly but surely we'll get there. Like I think that to me again is why it's a little panic mode from Kevin Feige to start talking for the first time ever and giving us insight. But maybe he is aware, and we trust Kevin Feige. Hopefully he can write this right. Hopefully in the next year or two things will even out. With a little bit more time and space between everything else.
I think so, and I gotta admit, guys, I think some stuff's gonna get canceled. I just can foresee some of these shows getting. Well, I don't think we need to do an Echo, or I'm sorry, I think some of them are going to get canceled.
Bob Iger kind of alluded to that because he said that they were pumping too much content into Disney Plus with both Marvel and Star Wars, and that they want to go more theatrical. So, like, I don't know if they get canceled, but like maybe Nova will get reworked into a movie or a special as opposed to just being the show, because again, like you were saying earlier, why are we taking one of these big cosmic characters and say, oh, yeah, we can do that on a TV budget?
Right. You're taking the big blockbuster characters and saying, no, they'll be fine as a show.
Broccoli Man, though, give him a show.
That's a perfect segue into our next segment here. Avatar: The Last Airbender, a rumor for a new Avatar Studios movie set for 2025, which is going to follow the Team Avatar Aang as adults, and will be titled Avatar: The Last Airbender: Hidden Kingdom, which that title just has a lot of hidden implications for what this could be about. Hidden Kingdom sounds a little ambiguous and kind of sounds like it describes some kind of maybe a hidden bending kingdom or some kind of kingdom that hasn't been encountered in the Avatar franchise. But me and Mike talked about this off stream. It's going to be a little hard to shoehorn this in when you have Legend of Korra existing as a present tense of where this universe is at. Now we're changing the prequel, but it's going to be a little awkward that this Hidden Kingdom didn't pop up for Legend of Korra. Do you have any ideas of what this could potentially be? And do you think that's a little overambitious?
I mean, I'm always down. You guys know me. I'm down for more Avatar: The Last Airbender. But like you were saying, there's only so much you can do with Aang and the gang, right? The Boomerang Squad, as Sokka would call them. I don't really know what to expect here. Like, I feel like going to the comic books as a source of inspiration could be interesting. Aaron Ehasz, the head writer of the show, has gone on record saying he planned out season 4. Even though Mike and Brian never wanted to do a season 4, the head writer of the show has already mapped out what he would want to do. So, and it's a story that we don't have a conclusion to. It's the redemption arc of Azula. And I think that would be really interesting if they tackled that. And they are adults, right? It takes Azula a long time to finally come back and be in good graces with Zuko. That could be very interesting. But as far as the Hidden Kingdom, right, the implications to like that title reads that we find another Hidden Kingdom. Like we found the Sun Warriors in book 3. I know I'm getting really nerdy about this, but in book 3, we see the Sun Warriors and we see that they show Aang and Zuko, right? The last 2 dragons, the firebending masters. Great episode. One of the best in the show. And that is technically a hidden kingdom. So I guess we can do a version of that again, or we go to the spirit world and find something there. But yeah, the pool of information is very limited because Korra is so close to Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's only like 60 years apart.
Yeah.
Roughly. There's not a lot of wiggle room, unfortunately. So I would honestly prefer going further back to Kyoshi, to Yangchen, to Kurik.
100%.
But yeah, that's where I am at this point. Hopefully Mike and Brian have some good ideas up their sleeve. You know, they're hard at work. They actually released a video on the Avatar YouTube channel the other day where they're talking about finally coming back after so long. The first story had to be about Aang. So I'm excited for that alone because they know how important Aang and his crew are to this universe.
Yeah.
You know, being the start of it. So I'm just excited to see Aang, Toph, Sokka, Katara, Zuko again because it's been a long time since we've had those characters.
Amen. I wonder if, which good comment here from Tyler. Commend y'all for constantly talking to Avatar when there's barely any information. Listen, we got to scrape what we can get, man. Like we still don't have any details about that Netflix show. We still don't have an official announcement for things like this. But I wonder if Hidden Kingdom does follow them finding Zuko's mom. I mean, I wonder if this is kind of she's hidden away. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I wonder if that could be the Zuko turned into the American Dragon.
It's the American Dragon.
Hey, that show was lit.
It was so
I like
fun.
American Dragon.
As a kid, my brain could not fathom like why does he sound like Zuko, and that bugged me for so long as like an 8-year-old kid watching both of those shows simultaneously.
Right? I was like, hey, that's Zuko. Oh snap! But yeah, you know this to me seems like a slight step backwards in the terms of the lore because of what you said about Korra. We have such a close future adaptation that this would belong a lot better with a very long Avatar back. That it's like, okay, this kingdom is so hidden that Aang and Korra never found them because it's such a hidden kingdom. Like if it were following Yang Chen or it were following Kurik, it would be hundreds of years prior to the beginning of Avatar. So then it would make sense. Like the Sun Warriors, they're a hidden kingdom now. It'd be like, okay, you establish some kind of kingdom in the lore very, very, very far back. But
Yeah.
otherwise, it just seems a little weird to put it in the Avatar Aang timeline if it's not a Zula redemption or them finding Zuko's mom. Like,
And we already know that they're not going to do that story because unless they change their mind, when they announced Avatar Studios being a thing, Mike and Brian said the comics are canon and we're not going to retread. So like The Search will forever just be a comic. We're never going to see that adapted. So which is a shame because it's a great book and not a lot of people have read it. So it would make a great like hour-long special at least on Paramount Plus. Do that. These are the specials we need, people. We don't need Agatha, whatever the show is called.
Coven of Chaos. We don't need no damn. We need Aang and Roku getting into an argument and Aang being like, I'm not listening to you anymore. Like, we need to see that disagreement on screen. That would be awesome to see. Because, I mean, throughout the whole series, and you know, that was something the comics capture really well because in the series, you get that it's only till the last episode that Aang really disagrees with his counterparts. I want to see some more of that. Like, I want to see some more of like the avatars being like, nah, you know what? I'm not cool with that, dude. Like, because there was just this whole theme of Aang being raised to be a peaceful monk going against what most of the other avatars believed. I'm like, I really like that dynamic, and we kind of got ripped away from that with Korra too because her connection is severed. So I would love to explore that because that comic does.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Hidden Kingdom, odd title. Maybe it is something we see in Legend of Korra. Maybe there's some energy benders left. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one.
I want your opinion right quick before we move on. This is coming from Avatar News to kind of just recap everything we know so far about this movie, which, to Tyler's point, isn't a lot, but release date 10/10/25. The director is going to be Lauren Montgomery, who worked on Voltron, Legendary Defenders. Have you seen that Voltron show at all? First couple seasons are good. It's really good. Last couple seasons, not great. That's that's not Lauren's fault though. That's more of a Netflix issue. Kenneth Lin is the writer from House of Cards, which to me is very strange choice. But the animation, you know that Rise of the Ninja Turtles, that's the animation studio that's going to be animating this one. It's going to be a 2D CG hybrid, which is unlike anything we've really seen. I think Korra had a little bit of CG, but that's nothing that we really saw in Avatar: Last Airbender. How are you feeling about some of that information? Does that intrigue you, or do you wish it was like back to basics, what Avatar was when it came out in 2005?
So that Ninja Turtles, I've been looking up some battles of that series, and I'm like, holy smokes, they really choreograph battles incredibly.
Yeah.
So to be honest with you, I'm cool with it. As long as it doesn't take on, honestly, and Dragon Prince, from what I've seen, has been a good show. I'm 100% okay with that. The new Dragon Ball superheroes, some people didn't love the 3D. I thought it was fine. I'm okay with it. This is just kind of the future of anime that we're headed, so it's just time to embrace that.
Yeah. That Chainsaw Man vibe.
100%. Get that little piece of 3D up in there. The Avatar franchise that I'm interested in.
Kobe makes a good point. This is why, as a child, I was so confused. Mae Whitman voiced the love interest in American Dragon. It's like, this is Zutara in another lifetime. This is a multiverse Avatar story.
And guess what? Y'all never got Zutara.
In another lifetime.
Right. I'm like, don't y'all try talking about Hidden Kingdom, try to have them having an affair. We don't need to have all that going on. No. But let's move on here to our last story. The Marvels, baby. Now, we were just talking about Marvel. The Marvels got a poster, which, holy smokes, the new suits look awesome to me. Yes. I think Kamala's looks the coolest, but I do like the other two suits as well. Release date shift, though. We're starting to see the MCU say, you know what? Let's space these out. And this was after Quantumania came out. So I wonder if Papa Kev was looking at that score like, hold on, man. Let's go ahead and push this back. Rumors have been circulating that there's going to be reshoots. I don't think so. I think they just saw Quantumania and were like, let's hold on that. But if this were to come out when it was supposed to come out in July, we would have had this movie, Quantumania, in February. We would have had Guardians in May. Keep in mind, we still don't got release dates for Loki Season 2 and Secret Invasion. And in July, we would have had the Marvels. And so between Guardians and the Marvels, somewhere in there's going to be Secret Invasion and or Loki Season 2. So it would have possibly been Guardians, Secret Invasion, Loki, then the Marvels. Don't you think this is a good idea to push this back?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Especially us not having a date for Secret Invasion. I'm like, maybe this is just an assumption because of the Nick Fury connection, but like that has to come out before the Marvels, right? Like there's got to be some sort of tie-in between the two.
Yeah, there's
so
gotta be.
You're gonna need some space so people can actually watch that show. Like if it comes out 2 weeks or it ends a week before the Marvels, it's not giving the people a lot of time to watch everything to properly understand what's going on. So if this comes out in November and Secret Invasion comes out in like July or whatever, I think that's cool. That gives people enough time to watch the show. It's just really crowded again, like you were saying, not even knowing when Loki fits into all of this. And with the way Loki season 1 ends with He Who Remains, and then we've got the first appearance of King the Conqueror in Quantumania, I feel like you'd want to get Loki season 2 out sooner than later to kind of keep some momentum, some synergy between those projects going. So yeah, spreading it out, it's a great idea. July was stacked. November, December area is also very stacked. So I feel like it's a lateral move if you were trying to avoid like Mission Impossible, because Aquaman is coming on your heels in November. But I think it's a good call. This is a great poster though. Like I love this shot of all of them. Kamala looks great. I'm really excited to see Monica too.
Yeah. And I will say this. I think I didn't love Captain Marvel. I didn't really like it, but it definitely wasn't because of Brie Larson as Carol Danvers. I do like that casting. I just think, unfortunately, it's poorly directed. I think that it just didn't have a strong sense of story. I think that Brie was especially good when she was with Samuel L. Jackson. I'm like, I definitely think she's got so much potential and momentum coming off of the other two actresses. Very excited to see how all three of them work together on screen together. I was a fan and still am of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I just think the movie, unfortunately, did not form. It just wasn't executed that well. I think it's a great movie on paper, 9 times out of 10, but do I think it's a rotten 40% out of no? But I just would say it's lower tier MCU to me. I think the Marvels has a really good shot at redeeming that franchise.
Captain Marvel, again, like you were saying, Brie Larson, she's good. She's a great actress. So like it was never her fault. I feel like Captain Marvel, it's just timing. If that movie comes out during phase 1, which is technically when it's set in the past,
100%.
It'd be great. But the MCU has evolved to a point where that type of film just didn't really fit. And even superhero movies in general, we don't get origins really anymore because Hollywood has kind of moved away from that. So it kind of got caught in a weird transition period for the audience and the MCU, which is why I think this next step, introducing these two characters who audiences are already familiar with, which makes it even easier. You don't have to explain who Kamala or is in the context of this film because we already know who she is, which I think is great. Great call.
Man, I've said it before and I'll say it again. For me, Miss Marvel is right up under WandaVision. I really like that show a lot. I loved WandaVision. I really loved Miss Marvel. There's a couple episodes in the middle that I was like, but I do like Iman Vellani as the character. I think she's the perfect cast for Miss Marvel. I thought it ended so strong and it just has such a great sense of purpose throughout the show, especially in the front half and the back half. I think the middle, we got a little lost, but I really think that it had a great sense of direction in those last few episodes. In the first 2 or 3 were very strong. And I loved what it had to say about, just growing up and being in high school and choosing your destiny. I think that was such a good message for that character. I like the character. I think that Iman's got really great potential to, just like Riri Williams and Spider-Man, they've got so much potential to be so charming in themselves that I'm like, yo, if you do make a team up with these people, they're going to be great on screen together. Her, Tom
yeah.
Holland, Spider-Man, Riri Williams. Who else do we have kind of in the crop and in the vein of that? Yelena,
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop was great in Hawkeye. Like, we've got some really great next generation characters here that are just stealing the screen from some of their older counterparts.
That to me has been like the big weakness of Phase 5, right? I know we just got into it, but like, why don't we have Young Avengers announced? It doesn't
And
have
they
to be
said
connected.
there's no plan, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, like even if you can't get Tom Holland to do it, like why can't we get Hawkeye, Ironheart, Black Widow, like make that team, because those actors are the best parts of Phase 4 for me. And Miss Marvel, it's the one show outside of WandaVision and Loki. Again, the first two, funny enough, it's the one show that feels like it was designed to be a show. Everything else kind of felt like they were extended movies, but like Miss Marvel worked because it felt like it was always meant to be a show.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish going forward, all the shows are going to be like Loki, WandaVision, or Miss Marvel on Disney Plus, because the character was made for the small screen, but they also, again, tied it perfectly into the Captain Marvel mythos to where her jumping to the big screen makes sense. Like Moon Knight, I don't understand when we're going to see that character again, even though Feige said we are. Right. It's like, where does he fit? I don't get it.
Blade, I'm thinking. I mean, that's the only thing I could think is like we do a little bit of a Midnight Suns tie-in, and maybe at the end of Blade, you tie in Moon Knight, Black Knight from Eternals. I don't know either. So I'm like, maybe they do a season 2. It seems like they hinted towards that, so we'll have to wait and see. I did want to back up to this comment from Geek Ledger. Do you think there's any merit to the gang being recast with ethically and racially appropriate actors besides Zuko? Absolutely. I definitely think give people a chance. Cast the person who is the same race as that character. I think that's a great move. Any thought, Mike?
Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a great call, especially we have an actual reason to recast them too, because they are adults, and we have never seen 20-year-old Aang. So we have no idea what he sounds like, what he looks like. We've only seen him elderly in Korra, or 12 years old, 112 years old.
Nothing in between.
Right. So I feel like that's the perfect time to recast them anyway. And like you were saying, there's plenty of talented Asian voice actors who can bring these characters to life. I'm totally cool with that. But on the flip side, we also have tons of anime characters who are voiced by Black people, white people in the anime space, in the dub community. Mm-hmm. So I get like not wanting to recast them, but if Mike and Brian are distinctly saying we want to give Asian actors the opportunity to voice Asian characters, I 100% back that. And Dante Bosco, we're going to be real. Him being Zuko, like Zuko's the only voice that matters.
100%. like you can't change Zuko.
Yeah, like his voice is too iconic to the point where it's very off-putting in The Legend of Korra that it's not Dante Bosco being old Zuko.
They had to make his grandson the Zuko. They had to make Dante Bosco the grandson because it's like we gotta have that voice, dude.
Yeah,
we just have to. There's a rumor that Secret Invasion is coming out around Mayish. So if that's after Guardians, I think that'd be fine. Just don't do it before and have it running at the same time. I think that's when
that's when it's crowded, right? Because it's going from Guardians right into the Marvels. That's a lot.
And then right before that, you got Mando, and I'm like, okay, what is Disney doing with this intersecting stuff? Guess what's running right now, which nobody's been talking about? Bad Batch. Nobody's said a peep about Bad Batch. So I'm like, some of that stuff just gonna get buried, man.
Honor. I see you, Jacoby.
Yeah, Honor. We've got a lot of people saying the Marvel's going in November is a good idea.
Yep.
Hopefully this movie turns me around on Carol, because the first Captain Marvel is one of my least. This could be her Ragnarok. I agree. Brie Larson is a freaking Oscar winner. The douche bros who say otherwise are wildin'. That movie was ripped apart way too much. Like, come on. Like, it's not trash. It's not terrible. It's not, oh my God, I got to rush to turn it off. Like there was like definitely some overreacting.
I'll tell you what, like Captain Marvel, again, like I was saying before, timing's everything. It came in between Infinity War and Endgame, right? And it's like, that was just a very bad spot to put that. If that came out before Infinity War, it probably would have been received differently. But I think the audience, critics too, all of us would probably just go buzzing off of the Infinity War hype train, and that was just too big of a shock and a letdown. So it felt more disappointing than it probably was. Because rewatching this movie, I had a lot of fun with Captain Marvel. Like I rewatched it recently, like a couple months ago,
Good.
and it's great. It's a fun time. It's just again when it came out, it's like, okay, why is this in between these two movies?
Yeah, it just has a random position in all of it.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been a good release time for Black Widow.
Yes.
Throw
That's
Black
another
Widow
movie
right there.
that's great. Black Widow's fun, but like you were saying, if it released before she dies, you're golden. People probably feel differently about that film.
Exactly. Well, Goose return for the Marvels. You got to bring back Goose, man. You also got to bring Fury into this. Like,
Yes.
I think running Secret Invasion first before this, there's a reason. They're definitely going to tie that in for sure. Kate and Yelena are fine, but they'll have to grow on me, especially Kate. Oh, wow. I actually really like Kate. I thought of Hawkeye, her and Clint's chemistry kept that show going. I definitely think the story was all over the place. They didn't know what they wanted to do with Kingpin and all this and Echo, and it was kind of tracksuit mafia. It was like, what are we doing? But through all of that, Clint and Kate's like their squabbles and their journeys together were great.
I even like the moments we got between Kate and Yelena, right? Like if we just pair them up as the new Black Widow and Hawkeye, that's cool. Because I thought their chemistry was also great.
Yeah, when Yelena came on the show, man, she really stole some of the luster on the camera. She was great. But when it was her and Kate, I was like, okay, I can mess with this. Like,
yeah,
some good chemistry. I think it'd be cool if they gave the original voice actor some love by casting them in the Dragon Prince. That could be cool. Give them maybe a minor role. I don't know how far in the Dragon Prince is now. So
the Dragon Prince has about 3 seasons left. They're unrelated shows though, so I don't really like. Would Aaron Ehas, who is not affiliated with Avatar Studios, would he care? That's the thing. Nobody on the Avatar Studios team is working on Dragon Prince. Aaron Ehas wrote Avatar: The Last Airbender and moved on to Dragon Prince, so I don't know if that's going to be possible or if he'd want to.
Not to mention the dude who originally voices Aang, ain't he out of acting now? I think.
Yeah, that was like his only major role, and then he's like,
Yeah.
I'm walking away. I'm hanging up the jersey. He's a cameraman though, and he's like into photography and cinematography and stuff.
Oh, cool. Yeah, see, let him do that. Like maybe they can bring him on to do that.
Yeah.
Kate and Yelena show, that would be awesome. That's where they can go with Hawkeye season 2, since they're gonna do another season. Make it Kate and Yelena. We don't listen. Nothing against Jeremy Renner, but it's time for some of the old heads to get ushered on out.
Yeah, he might not be back for a while anyway, so it makes sense to go with Black Widow and Hawkeye. I think that would be a fun show.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. All right, Mike, we're going to get into our movies of the week. The one this week being Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Just dropped on Friday, guys. This is our Ant family heading into the quantum realm and meeting King. King, a new conqueror in the quantum realm here. One that I wasn't that high on, but I'm glad to see that there are some people that really do love it, and we might as well bring this up instead of having its own segment. We might as well bring this up while we're here. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is sitting at, last I saw, a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes, and let me see if it has updated at all. But I just don't think. I'm like 47. I don't know. The audience score is 84.
Yeah, 84 for the audience, 47 for the critics. Wow.
47. I mean, look, I didn't love Quantumania, but 47%? I don't know that it deserved a 47. I think that's a little harsh here. But listen, a lot of people starting to feel some Marvel fatigue. Love and Thunder seemed to be that ledge that unfortunately a lot of people fell off of when that came out. kind of seemed to be the domino effect of the rest of them maybe not being as highly anticipatory. But you just saw Quantumania, man. What did you think about it? Is it a 47? Is it a 4 out of 10? I know that's not technically how Rotten Tomatoes works, but it's 47% approval. You think it's that bad?
I want to turn this back at you right quick. Out of 10, what's your rating for Quantumania?
6 out of 10, which I would say just etches into like 60% is fresh.
Right. So Rotten Tomatoes is stupid. Sometimes Rotten Tomatoes count like legitimately. Sometimes they count reviews that are 6 out of 10 as rotten. So even if half of these critics gave it a 6 out of 10 like you, it will still show up rotten on the tomato meter. So I think that's why like 47%, when you think about the context of how Rotten Tomatoes works, I understand it. I would put it at 6 out of 10. I think is fair. It's not a great film. It's not terrible. Like I'm going to be real with you. Out of the movies we got last year, I think it's probably the best Marvel movie outside of Black Panther, of course. It's the best Marvel movie we've got.
I was like, hold on now.
Yeah, like I like Quantumania more than Multiverse of Madness, more than Love and Thunder, more than Morbius, of course. Like Batman and Wakanda Forever. Out of the last year and a half of Marvel and DC stuff, those are the only ones that are better. So in that context, it's good, but also this is what, like the 40th Marvel project that we've gotten in the MCU. That's a lot.
31 movies, and then there's been 5 or 6 shows and a special presentation. So we're hitting that 40 mark.
We're close to 40. So like I feel like again I was telling this on our stream the other day. Superhero fatigue doesn't exist. The only reason we're feeling some MCU fatigue is because of the quality. Like when you get Multiverse of Madness and you get Love and Thunder and then you get Quantumania back to back to back, with Black Panther being the only exception in there for the MCU, and then you top it with Morbius and Black Adam, and you're kind of like, yeah, I can see why somebody would feel like they're tired of these. The thing is, we love superheroes, always will. Going again, like the Batman, right? The Batman made me remember how much I love that character, how much I love the Batman franchise and universe. It was phenomenal. Ant-Man, it's a fine movie, but I need that No Way Home again. I need that film that says this is why you love the Marvel universe. This is why you love these characters. And Quantumania just didn't do that. Jonathan Majors is a great villain, but outside of that, it's like even the character of Kang, like I don't understand him. I've seen him multiple times, and I still don't understand what Marvel wants me to take away from Kang the Conqueror as a character. You know?
Yeah, you bring up a really good point with that, because I love Jonathan Majors and how he just instilled fear and intimidation into this role. Like he really made me feel like Kang was somebody menacing. But half the time he was on the screen, he was an exposition machine, and then.
Yes,
there were some weird choices that they made to, like, I don't know, almost kind of de-escalate how powerful King was. Like, I don't know. I just was kind of like, I don't know, some of the decisions they made later in the movie, I was like, really? Did we really have to go there with the ants and crap? But I do think I loved what they did with Majors. I loved some of those post credits. But yeah, like, this is a hot take here. I love Ant-Man and the Wasp, but the second one, really like the first Ant-Man. But most people don't love the Ant-Man franchise, and I think they went a little too big with the Ant-Man franchise. Like, Ant-Man is kind of just this guy that, Hank Pym tracked down to steal something, and he grabbed the suit and kind of stumbled into this life. He's like the everyday average Joe that messed up, wanted to do good by his daughter, and stumbled into this superhero work like that. And I'm like, when you take that simple of a character and story and you expand it to the multiverse and you, spoiler warning, leave out their crucial team. I mean, they left out Louise, Baba Yaga dude. I mean, they left out his team from the other movies. And I'm like, all right, they left out Cassie's mom. Like, I just think we're missing some of the core elements from the Ant-Man franchise in order to set up Kang. And I'm like, this might have not been the greatest movie to do so. because then you strip away the Ant-Man charm, what the Ant-Man movies are really about. And that's the simple average Joe who stumbled into this life. And you make it this grandiose, we're in the quantum realm, multiverse travel, and all this stuff. We're getting a little too larger than life for the Ant-Man franchise, I think. And this was just something, I don't know, this was like a precursor to Kang Dynasty. And I'm like, just didn't work with the Ant-Man story, I don't think.
Every phase has this type of movie. And this is just an issue that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has. It's just a design flaw. Like you were
Dark
saying.
World.
Like you were saying, everything that makes an Ant-Man movie is missing. His supporting cast is missing. Why? Because we need to set up the big event. And every phase had this. Phase 1, we had Iron Man 2, which had to introduce Black Widow and Nick Fury. And that was a mess. In phase 2, we had Age of Ultron, which is just like a filler movie. We had to get the Avengers back together and stall until the real threat arrives. In phase 3, we had Captain Marvel, which had to introduce us to Captain Marvel before Endgame. That's really why that movie exists. You could have just had Nick Fury hit the pager, she shows up, and that'd be the end of it. But they had to explain who she was, you know? And so Quantumania is that again of, we've got to tell you who Kang is before we get to Kang Dynasty. And that makes the whole movie suffer because we introduce Cassie, a new actress as Cassie, and her chemistry with Paul Rudd is a little lacking. There's a lot to be desired. Not that the actress is bad, but it's just so much going on. Like, that's a culture shock because we have to adjust to her and her dynamic with Scott, and we don't have time to because we've got to go to the quantum realm and deal with whatever's happening down there with Kang. We're not going to spoil that. But yeah, it's just overall it's just a weak film. Like, it's not a terrible movie. I've seen plenty of bad superhero movies in my life. This is not one of them.
Like, you can't say this is Morbius or Black Adam. Like, come on.
Right. Like, it's better than both of those movies. It's better. Like, again, back in my day, remember Batman and Robin?
Yeah.
This ain't that. This ain't it. I'm not going to complain about Quantumania.
This ain't Catwoman Halle Berry.
Right. But also, we have to remember, we are in 2023. I want an Ant-Man movie. And again, this is a flaw with the Marvel universe of always having to build to the next thing and one up itself. It's like, why couldn't it just be a heist movie? That's what the trailers even said, right? Like, the trailers were marketing it as Kang needs Ant-Man's help for X reason. And while the movie kind of touches on that, it's like, what if that was the whole idea of Scott teams up with Kang and they pull off the ultimate heist, and then that leads into whatever happens in Kang Dynasty. And I'm not trying to rewrite the movie, but like, at least that's still central to the DNA of what Ant-Man as a character is.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man being this big multiversal event was also very weird and not very Spider-Man like traditionally. I know we've had Spider-Verse in the comics before, but that movie somehow magically pulled that off. But that may have been more lightning in a bottle, not, let's take every character out of their element and put them in a multiverse event, you know?
Look at Multiverse of Madness. Now, I think that one's a little bit more divisive. I do like Raimi's cinematography and camera work and some of the creative things he brought to it. But again, it didn't feel like a Doctor Strange movie. I'm like, this is an Illuminati movie, a multiverse movie, but the strange stuff gets buried and the same thing's happening here. It's like, it almost feels like every movie is trying to be an event, and it doesn't have to be that, because I remember in the trailer, he's like, what do I need more of? And he's like, time. So I thought they were going to work together and he was going to be like, let me give you back that time with Cassie, but it would actually,
they steal time.
As good. Yeah, like it would not be as good as he thought. I don't know. I completely thought it was a different story than what we got. But let's check out some of these comments. I think it just depends on the reviewer. Yeah, so John's right. If it's a 6 out of 10, the reviewer can choose whether it's rotten or not. So I could go on there and be like, it's a 6 out of 10, but I could say fresh or I could say rotten. So that's one thing about
weird.
The system. It's like, shouldn't it be like anything? But the thing is it's like, they're not rated out of 10. They're just rated. You either make it rotten or you make it fresh. And I'm like, well, damn, if it's a 6 out of 10 for me, that's fresh. But for some others, that's rotten. It just
I
does
think
depend on the reviewer.
that just shows again an issue with Rotten Tomatoes. That's why you don't take it 100%. Why is there in between? There should be rotten, there should be fresh, and then there got to be that in between of like where the tomatoes in the fridge for like a week, but it's not entirely fresh or rotten. Like there needs to be a middle ground.
It's like more ripe, like a little more ripened,
Right?
Which I don't know. They have that popcorn bucket for the audience. I'm like, why isn't the popcorn bucket like, okay, this is great? The tomato is like, oh, okay, it's pretty average, and then the rotten sign is like anything below average.
Yeah.
There might need to be like a 3-tier somewhere in there. People wouldn't have complained about superhero fatigue if the content was better. Yikes! I mean, that's true. I think Guardians 3 is going to be the that movie for 2023. Yep, Guardians are always a highlight. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think we all feel like that's going to be like 90%, 95%. Like that's gonna do well. That and Across the Spider-Verse, y'all. Don't forget now. Don't forget about my boy Spidey now.
I can't wait to see this variant of Gamora. Like her hair is different, her relationship with everyone is different. Like that gets me excited. Like, what does that dynamic look like?
Ooh, this is a good question. What MCU films would you guys put as rotten? Not many, but I have a few. Dark World.
Yeah.
That would be rotten for me. Iron Man 2, rotten.
Ooh.
Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Burn me at the stake. Incredible Hulk, rotten. And also Captain Marvel. Those are like my 4 that I'm like, rotten city. The rest of them, fun, enjoyable to some extent. Above those 4 is Quantumania. And I would say that that's decent. I ripped it up on my channel, y'all, because I was so disappointed.
Man, yeah. Ooh, that's a hard question. Dark World, I think, is the one everybody can agree on. That is just the worst. It's just not a good movie. Tom Hiddleston carries that movie. He's not even the main character. Yeah, like there's not a lot I would consider rotten. I think that's the thing between the audience and the Rotten Tomatoes critics is that if I dislike a movie, I still don't know if I'd consider it rotten. It depends. Like it has to be awful for me to say rotten, you know?
Those 4 I named, I was like, look, man, I'm not rushing back to any of them 4.
Yeah, and that's fair. But like Iron Man 2, I can still have fun with. I think Justin Hammer's a fun villain. I think Black Widow's cool. Like there's still moments in those that I enjoy, so that even like I'm hesitant to call all of those rotten, except for Dark World. There's
even Avengers Age of Ultron, I'm like, that's skirting the line for me. But listen, it's still enjoyable. You get Wanda for the first time. You get the sacrifice of Quicksilver. There's some good stuff in that movie.
It's the only movie where the Avengers are the Avengers. Therefore, I have to like it. I have to still find something to enjoy. They're either getting together or they're breaking up.
That first one, it was kind of like, oh, we got to team up. Then, Age of Ultron, it was like, oh, yeah, we're the Avengers. And then the third one, Caps spread out. And you're right. That's the only Avengers movie.
It's a shame.
A semi-edible tomato. I can't name every single one, but I can tell you this is bottom, and then right above it is Eternals. And I think right above Eternals is Dark World, I think. I don't think there's any that's below, because I think Dark World is like 66. Then Eternals is like at 48, and now this is at 47. I don't know. I still don't think that it's like, damn, this is just absolutely bad. And I don't think this is. Dark World, the problem with Dark World is I'm like, okay, you have this Asgardian, Greek, Roman culture, and then you've got like Lord of the fucking Rings with the dark elves. Like that just did not line up to me.
So if we're looking, because I got Rotten Tomatoes pulled up here and I've sorted it through the MCU, the highest rated MCU project at 100% is Miss Marvel.
Yeah. I looked at that the other day. I was like, holy smokes. Miss Marvel's 100%.
That's amazing. Good for them.
Honestly,
Marvel's Age of the Shield is at number 3 for you, Leo, just so you know that.
What's that, number 3?
Age of the Shield. Mm-hmm.
I need to go ahead and sit down and watch that, man. It's been too long. I need to go ahead and get through that.
Season 4 is peak. It's Age of the Shield. I will just say it. Outside of WandaVision, Age of the Shield is the best Marvel show. It just is. Like the first couple seasons are rough. I don't know if I didn't count Daredevil because I
Yeah, that's
forgot
true.
the Netflix stuff happened. But okay, yeah, it's number 3. There you go. No disrespect to Daredevil. But yeah, going through this Rotten Tomatoes, there's a lot of stuff. If we're counting the TV shows, the worst is still going to be Inhumans at 11%.
Oh my god, I forgot. I completely forgot about Inhumans.
Yeah, Inhumans, Iron Fist are technically what's at the
Oh
bottom.
my god, 11%. I didn't know that it was that low. Damn.
It's that bad. Honestly, it should be a 0. But
Yeah, I seen 4 episodes of Inhumans, and I was like, look, I think I'm done with the Black Bolt yelling at the fucking camera type shit. So, okay, what's the lowest movie though? Ant-Man and the Wasp, right?
the lowest movie is currently a tie. Ant-Man and the Wasp and Eternals are tied at 47%.
Okay.
And I could have sworn Eternals was 48% the other day. So who put in a review over the last couple hours? That's what I want to know.
Somebody bumped it down when they see Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're like, nah, it's Eternals.
This is like my anime list. So the highest rated anime is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But every once in a while, you get like My Hero Academia, or you get Attack on Titan, take the spot, and then out of nowhere, Full Metal fans review bomb the other show to keep Full Metal at the top. So somebody
like, keep it at 100.
Somebody's coming for Eternals, and I don't like it.
See, and there's people who are saying they don't like Miss Marvel, but I'm like, to have a 100% Rotten Tomatoes and an 80% audience score, to me, that sounds like the most. I could say most universally liked between the critics and the fans.
Yeah.
That and the Guardians trilogy, probably.
For sure. The TV meter is slightly different than the movie meter, simply because Arrow is sitting at like a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
See, that's some bogus stuff. It's definitely skews with the different seasons and shit. Because I think if you go into some of the Arrow seasons, they're like 70 or something.
Yeah.
But the whole show is like a 90. It's a weird meter.
System.
Age of Ultron. Ooh, Geek Legend said Age of Ultron is the worst MCU movie in his opinion. Even then, I'd say it's like 6.5 or 7 out of 10.
That's still impressive.
It's the worst Avengers movie to me.
That's still impressive though, like a 6.5, a 7, and it's the worst in the universe.
Yeah, he goes on to say he loves every MCU movie. I'll say some are better than others, but I leave that debate to the internet. Tyler, let Arrow cook.
Let Arrow cook.
First, second, I think it was at 4th season, 7 and 8. Some of those seasons are fire, but whew.
Yeah,
them Felicity seasons, I was like, what are we doing, bro? Like,
yeah,
Ollie
season 1, 2, 5 are great.
Yeah, I'm like, Ollie trying to settle down in a neighborhood. What's going on here? His sister running around. That was just, those stories were just kind of dumb to me, but that's neither here nor there. But I think we can agree that Quantumania 47, the critics are starting to turn on Marvel. Everybody tried to say the critics are pandering to Marvel. Well, here we are.
Yeah.
47 for a movie that, I don't know, doesn't seem like it would be panned that hard, but
I mean, look at the 84% audience score though. That's the crazy part to me, is that, people don't seem to realize that the audience and the critics are usually in tandem, like usually hand in hand, unless somebody is review bombing, like She-Hulk, for example, getting review bombed. But like Doctor Strange, critics gave it a 74, audience gave it an 85. Spider-Man, critics gave it No Way Home, they gave 93, audience gave it a 98. There's no more than like a 10% difference between the two.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is almost, yeah, it's almost half. That's insane.
Yeah, and I think I've been seeing this a lot lately of like Love and Thunder, Multiverse of Madness, this movie. There's like a lot of don't believe the critics, like go and see it yourself. I loved it. There's starting to be a lot of like, don't trust the critics, don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. Let's go see it for ourselves. And so I think that this is like a big product and big result of that kind of messaging. Like, forget the critics, forget what Rotten Tomatoes is saying. It also opened to 225 million in total. So worldwide and domestic, that's massive. the first movie this year to make 100 million domestic. So it's the MCU still pumping out money, y'all.
Yeah, it's giving me Black Adam vibes, where the Black Adam critic score is at 39 and the audience score is at a whopping 88.
I know. I was like, good grief, 80 something. I was like, okay, that's a little.
But then you realize that movie barely made money, so I don't know if that's like
like what audience, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like
it was the Rock fans basically showed up.
Yeah,
I don't think the quality hasn't dropped like many claim. I think people just solely look at Phase 3 with the Infinity Saga. Phase 1 and 2 might have some things above it, but quality wise, they're on par with 4. So I definitely just think it's a result of too much stuff coming out. So it does feel like there's a quality drop because there's so much stuff, but it's not necessarily like, oh, all these movies are terribly made or anything. There's just so much crap that it's like, okay. And some good choices, some maybe not so good. And I just think having Ant-Man be this quantum realm, big introduction to Kang and the precursor to the Kang dynasty, that's just too ambitious for the Ant-Man franchise. That's just keep Scott and Hope and Hank and Janet and them, keep them on Earth, keep them doing their thing and ragtagging. I mean, I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp last night and I'm like, this is the perfect size for this movie. This is just too large.
I think this kind of goes back to what you were saying about so many projects. To Jacoby's point, I'm in my letterbox and I have the Marvel Universe broken down into phases in my lists. And Phase 1 was only 6 movies, right? Phase 2 was 6 movies. And then that's when things kind of exploded right after. Phase 3, we had 11 projects. And Phase 4, we had 15. And we're just going into Phase 5 now. So I think, yeah, it may not be that there was a massive like quality dip, but when you only have 6 per phase and 5 of those hit, cool. But now the batting average is 15 in the phase and 10 of those hit. Well, 5 of those didn't. And now it feels like there's a massive drop in quality, where in reality, yes, it's probably 4 or 5 things. But since they were all congested in those, we were saying earlier in the show, in those 2 years of getting like 20 things, that's where the fatigue comes in, because it's like every other month there may be 1 or 2 that you don't enjoy.
Yeah, and I'm really quick. I'm going to look up Marvel Phase 4 because I was like, just when you were saying like the hits, I was thinking that I'm like, okay, if you think Phase 4 and you just kind of think critically in terms of like things that everybody liked, it's like, okay, you could say there was, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows. I think you could say everybody pretty much like Miss Marvel, WandaVision, and Loki.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could strongly say everybody loved She-Hulk, everybody loved Moon Knight, everybody loved Hawkeye, everybody loved the Falcon and Winter Soldier, because there were some big divides in those. So I'm like, okay, out of 8 shows, 3 of them are hit or mega hits. And then out of the films, you've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess you could say Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Shang-Chi. So it's kind of like, to your point of having more films, if we've got 15 projects and 6 of them are certified hits, that's not a good ratio. And then to have the rest of the 9 be either in limbo or a little more negative. You could even say Hawkeye, What If, skew a little bit more toward the middle. And then, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier skews a little more toward the middle. And then She-Hulk for sure was not well received. Moon Knight was a little back and forth. So it's just kind of like, if we want to say out of 15, 7 of them hit. It's not a great ratio. Instead of when you had 8 things coming out, if 7 of those is a hit, great. We can wait. Cool. I'm down to wait the next year for my next 2. They just got to slow down. All they really got to do is just realize, yes, you're the MCU, but that doesn't mean that you can just come out every month and be hitting it every time. Oh, I forgot about Werewolf by Night and the Guardian special. Those were well received. So
but they also I'm gonna just be honest. I don't know anybody outside of our space that has even seen Werewolf by Night. Like, I think there's a lot of people who haven't even heard that it existed, which is a problem. I think what Marvel really should do is become a studio. Marvel exists as a story. You watch the Marvel story, but like, I don't have to watch every Pixar movie, right? And
Right.
that's cool. The thing is, you love Eternals. I hate Eternals. But that should be okay. Me not liking Eternals shouldn't affect you getting an Eternal sequel. It should just be,
Right.
this film is made for this specific audience, this specific demographic. But since Marvel is built to where you have to consume everything, it either has to be the most generic by the number story to appease everyone, and that keeps them from taking risks. Like, making a comedy about a Hulk is a great idea, but within the Marvel machine, it just may not work for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I love comedies, I love She-Hulk as a comic book character. I had fun with the show, but I get why that would be kind of weird with her breaking the fourth wall for people. So you have to find that balance, and I hate to say it. And Jacoby in the chat even asked, should they have ended after Endgame? I think they probably should have at least changed their strategy and become a full-fledged studio where each project doesn't necessarily have to connect. And that's the thing about comics. You go to the store, right? You go to the comic shop, you buy a Batman comic. You don't have to buy a Superman comic.
Right.
You're just
right.
reading and following the characters you like.
Mm-hmm.
And when they cross over, you know they exist, but like, you don't need to know what Superman was doing when he crosses over with Batman, you know?
They need to feel individual, not
Right.
so tied together to where I gotta watch Miss Marvel and I gotta watch Moon Knight and which I think I will say I think Moon Knight and Miss Marvel did a good job of that.
Yeah.
But like some of these other ones, Loki especially, so I like Loki, especially the second half, but wow, it does feel like a requirement at this point.
Right.
That WandaVision,
and we
like
don't know what is and what isn't a requirement. And that, I think that's part of the problem of Moon Knight and Miss Marvel do stand alone. But as the audience member, I don't know which show or movie does stand alone. So it's like, if I don't care about Moon Knight. So did I waste my time watching Moon Knight because he's not going to connect to anything? And
Right.
so that's the problem, and that's why I don't know how Kevin Feige fixes that. Because like, you essentially need, like we were saying before, if you like Marvel Cosmic, you watch this stuff. If you like the street level stuff, you watch this. But how do you communicate that to the audience when everything has been connected? How can you finally branch out?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the struggle they're in right now.
I was saying this the other day. I was like, if I had creative control, it'd be 2 movies and 1 show a year. And the show wouldn't even necessarily like harshly connect to the movies. I would say the movies more so would connect to the show as opposed to vice versa. Because I wouldn't have WandaVision be this necessary stepping stone to Multiverse of Madness. I just have it be its own thing. Wanda's over here, blah, blah, blah. We set up in the movies that she's having a little bit of a trip with the Darkhold. Set that up in the movies, in the big grand scheme of the movies, not WandaVision, not Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now you got to go back and watch that to see what's going on in Captain America 4. Like, I wouldn't tie them together so closely like that, but that's just me.
That's logic, honestly.
It looks like Geek Ledger's kind of on the same deal, 3 with 1 more each. 3 movies, 2 specials, and 1. 3 movies, 2 shows, and 1 special. And I think for me, I'm like down to 2 movies, one show, 1 special, because I'm like, dude, it's just so much to keep up with. You ask anybody outside of us in this realm on YouTube and in the chats and in Twitter, and you ask those people, hey, like, did you check out Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and Love and Thunder, and Multiverse of Madness, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever? They're like, I checked out the movies, man. I didn't really. She-Hulk, I caught 1 episode, didn't really like it. So,
right.
And then what are they going to be lost when the next big Marvel movie comes out and She-Hulk shows up? You know, it's just we got to just kind of keep them a little bit separate.
That, yeah, agreed.
Yep, John Lee's on more specials than shows. Agatha, Echo, special. Those don't need to be no damn show.
Yeah.
I think besides Daredevil, I'm like, And Loki season 2 and Secret Invasion, I think those are some good shows. I think Secret Invasion has such a different vibe to it that like it could be its own little thing and pair into the Marvels a little, but stand alone.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, I definitely for sure agree with you, John. Scale some of these back.
The
Agatha, Echo.
the biggest strength for Miss Marvel and Moon Knight was that those characters exist in their own show.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest deal. Like watching WandaVision having to be necessary to understand Multiverse of Madness. That is a lot to ask because I know a lot of people who saw the trailer for WandaVision. It's like, oh, that's just a weird, goofy sitcom thing, right? And they watched it, or they didn't watch it, and then they were just completely lost. It's like that's not good because now again you're kind of strongholding us into watch all of these for it to make sense. Where I think the show should just be smaller scale. They follow Daredevil. They follow these smaller heroes. I know Daredevil is a big character. Don't take the offense to that. But like they follow these smaller adventures. And that's for us. That's for the people who want to continue watching Marvel content. But the movies, those are the only things that should really link up like that. Like Daredevil can show up, but I shouldn't have to watch the Daredevil show to understand what the movie is doing or trying to communicate.
The way that Daredevil appeared in She-Hulk show should be how some of these TV characters appear in the movies. Boom, just pop in. Oh shit! Like, hey, this is my cousin She-Hulk. Oh, okay, cool, dope. Like, she has like a quick little cameo in the movie, or she is a part of the team, but she just shows up, and it's not like, oh, I gotta watch She-Hulk. And no, it's just Hulk's cousin. All right, cool. Well, oh, she's got a show. I might check it out, but I don't have to understand what's going on. We got a comment from Frog Eater here. I like that.
No, not the frogs.
If there's one movie that should be laid, it's Blade from early September 20 to early 2025 to pair with Daredevil. So you can have the two mature shows and movies running together.
What's up with Blade anyway?
Nobody knows. It did get a director, and Mahershala is still like super on board. It's filming. It's scheduled for September. So it's still on track, but I think that's a little ambitious to call Deadpool 3 a $1 billion just because it is rated R. But I mean, if it did bring in $1 billion like Joker did, then great. We have the MCU hitting billion with a B with rated R movies.
I mean, Hugh Jackman being in that movie and then potentially Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. I can see it, honestly.
Yeah.
If Joker can do it, why not?
Why not this? Yeah, especially with the X-Men. Yeah, Agatha and Echo, I know, but they're already finished filming, but scale it down. Between Werewolf by Night and Guardians Holiday Special, which was better? What do you think, Mike?
Guardians, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think that's probably just because I already know those characters. So it was really easy to jump into another adventure, especially since the entire plot is just so funny of we keep using Kevin Bacon and Footloose as a character beat in the movie. So it's like, of course, Drax and Mantis would go look for Kevin Bacon. It's just, it pays off a joke, a running gag in the Guardians franchise anyway. And it's easier to get invested because we already know who they are.
Yeah, I think I liked Guardians a little bit more. John Lee was a little more on the side of Werewolf because it was different. I really liked Werewolf by Night for that reason. I do think it was like just this completely different new thing for the MCU. So that was fun. But I'm with you, Mike. I think I feel the same way. It's just we know the Guardians, and it was fun. It was a quick little adventure and a payoff to a running joke. But, oof, Mike, we running on 2 hours here, man. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby. All right, man. Guys, we're going to get wrapping up here. But, Mike, let the people know where they can find you and what you got coming up on your channels, man.
Well, again, thank you so much for having me, Leo. It's a blast being here talking with you. Guys, check out the Chatter After on YouTube. Over there, we are talking The Last of Us every Tuesday. If you were hanging out with us, you probably missed this episode, but it's a banger. Go watch it. Tuesdays, 8:30 Eastern, live stream for Beyond the Clickers. Also on the channel, we're going to be interviewing the devs behind Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, and we're launching a giveaway. We're giving away 3 codes for the PS4 and PS5. So make sure you check out that video when that drops later this week so you can enter the giveaway for that. And of course, me at Novice Cinephile everywhere, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, over there. On the YouTube channel, we're going to be talking Avatar The Last Airbender, Got a couple of
Let's
videos
go.
in the pipeline about the Netflix show, about the movies, about the comics. A lot of fun stuff. So make sure you stay tuned there.
Guys, be sure to stay tuned and follow Mike over on Novice Cinephile and Chatter After. This man is putting out content, man. He been working, baby. I seen you.
So much work. Also, Collider. We've got Last of Us stuff that just dropped like 10 minutes ago. Check that out. I'll retweet it.
Oh, yeah. Sheesh. The new episode's out tonight. I'm like, man. But y'all, thank you so much for dropping by during the stream, guys. We had a little bit of a different time change this time. We will be back to a couple more hours, 7 PT next week. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, baby. We got all kind of content around the corner, including new movies coming out. We got Creed around the corner, baby. We got, unfortunately, I will be covering the Gotham Knights TV show. So we got that coming up. We've got the next part of Superman and Lois. Got the next season of that coming up as well. And then Titans Part 2, whenever that's coming out, that will also be covered on the channel as well. Season 4 Part 2 also on the way in March, guys. We got a lot of stuff around the corner in March. And I just watched Creed 1 for the first time again in a while today. Woof, that movie is so underrated.
Don't forget Cocaine Bear, John Lee just said.
You're right. You're totally right, John Lee. I actually got Cocaine Bear coming up as well. So lots around the corner, you guys. Be sure to tune into the channel. And guys, if it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button and come on.